You probably have a dangerous side till you have one.
I'm Shazleen. These guys stole my other animals. I would have picked tiger. Okay, there you go. Am I going to say stuff about myself?
Yeah.
Okay. Publishing, so that is fine. Yeah.
And also this lion. I mainly choose it because they're mains. I've got a big mane. Love you, but I'm gonna choose
I need to add on because I was always trying to fit in. Like I was never really talked about gaming. Like obviously working on it. I need to work pushing myself. When you've done it enough, your comfort zone increases, and then you and again.
I am. Highlight. I'm joking.
Interviewees are waiting.
Cool. Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this launch. I'm personally very excited because if anyone doesn't know, it's based on me. Well, this is me. By the way, anyone that doesn't know me, I am Tazziii. I'm the creative director for mayamada. And I had nothing to do with its creation apart from being the muse, I guess. The finished artwork was done by Penali. Nigel wrote the story, and then there's a few people in this room that actually worked on some of the concepts and script for it. So it's very exciting. So yeah, I have a wonderful group of guests with me today, and we're going to introduce you all, but we've got a nice mayamada themed on brand style to go. So I'm going to start with you. So if you pick out a
Do I get to see?
yeah.
Okay.
Find it. And introduce yourself and why you chose this animal and why it resonates with you.
I am MiyukiPanda. I have a small obsession with pandas. Just tiny. I see my Facebook memories from like 10, 12 years ago, and it's all about pandas. I'm like, then things don't change. Because I like how they just basically eat, sleep, roll around. I mean, spirit animal, that's a vibe. I would love to do that. So yeah, that's why I chose the panda. Because I'm basically a panda.
Very good connection with I could also be a panda. Yeah.
Everyone wants to be a panda.
They're just so cute as well. I love watching videos of like handlers and pandas.
There's so many cute ones. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to like drag it out, but there's so many cute ones. I'll pick.
I'm sorry, I just stole the panda.
I like red pandas to be fair, so
Red pandas are also nice.
Pandas are so cute.
I'll go with.
You don't discriminate. Red pandas are great too.
Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. Hi everyone.
Do you want to start picking?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you. So yeah, my name is Janelle McCurdy. I'm a author and gaming content creator of the Me and the Lightcasters trilogy series, and I chose a tiger because I like cats. You can already see, and I just love that they're fierce, they're like cute but dangerous. So yeah, so a little tiger. No, I'm just
but dangerous.
Dangerous.
Whoa. Absolutely well.
Glad you think I'm nice.
Yes.
You probably have a dangerous side till you have one.
I think I
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Shazleen. These guys stole my other animals. I would have picked tiger if I could see one, but I picked a rabbit because they're really cute. And I don't really think I necessarily think I am very much like a rabbit, but I used to have one as a pet, so that's why I've picked this one, and it's also very endearing. So, take this. There you go. Am I going to say stuff about myself?
Yeah. Yourself as well. Right.
Before I get this sassy. I'm an author and illustrator of various books, and I work in publishing, so that is why I'm here.
And also, this hat is actually from another one of our books, Samurai Chef. So yeah, we've got quite a few manga.
But no, Tazziii, you don't want to pick one too?
Oh, am I
Introduce
picking
yourself.
one?
Yeah. There's no Tasmanian devil in there, but
No, it's gonna be hard. I didn't think about this, so now I feel like
sorry.
you put me on the spot. No, it's
See, I
fine.
didn't tell anyone what I actually do. I just said I was a panda. And honestly, I'm gonna roll with that.
Is that your occupation?
Yeah, my occupation is panda.
Panda.
No.
Chilling.
Oh my God, there's so many adorable animals
Sorry,
in
Tazziii.
here. Can I just pick all of them?
Yeah, they are all so cute.
Oh,
Or if you want to introduce just your character, it's up to you.
oh my God, I don't know who to. Oh, okay, we're going for
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Gonna go for a lion. I mainly choose it because their manes are like, I've got a big mane and lions have a big mane, and they're also really lazy, and I quite like that. They just sleep and eat basically. But if they need to, they can be a bit vicious. But yeah, so I'm gonna go for the lion. You can keep these, by the way.
Oh, amazing.
I really be honest, I was gonna just put it like love you, but I wanted to do.
You're keeping it.
I need to add it to my panda collection.
That's so cute.
Yeah, you have an impressive family collection.
Last time I counted, there's 51 pandas in my bedroom.
Wow.
Yeah. I think there's more now, but I'm not gonna count again.
Do you want to know any panda facts as well?
A group of pandas is called an embarrassment, which is very much what I vibe with as well.
Yeah, should we get into talking about your journeys and everything else while we're here?
Do you want to introduce your...
Yeah. Yeah, if anyone's not seen it yet, but I imagine you have since you got a ticket to be here. So this is the manga itself. This is the main edition, and then the collector's edition on the end. Oh, it's just amazing designs. I'm so impressed with these. That's really, I'm so excited. It's really exciting seeing them like physically printed. I've been working on this for a while.
Yeah,
so.
it's real.
It's real. It's a real thing. Yeah, so if anyone didn't pre-order one, we do have them available to purchase today. Do we not? Where's Nigel?
Not in the bathroom.
Typical Nigel.
I'm guessing. If not, then
No, he's coming, he's coming.
Nigel.
Yeah.
If people didn't like order it through the ticket, are they able to still purchase?
Yeah, you can make your review, yeah. Probably card only, just, it's 2025, but yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so I guess we'll start with, when did you kind of think, okay, like this creative thing I'm doing is professional, like I'm not just doing this as a hobby. Do you want to start at the end, Shaz?
Okay. Yeah, so I started making so I make comics as a full-time job. I both do like writing and art, and then I also work as an artist paired up with writers. And I work in self-publishing and also in mainstream publishing. I started making comics as a 16-year-old, so that's a bit of a goofy time. And by making comics, I mean like going to MCM and selling comics in like person. And I think like I got into it because I just wanted something to put my CV, honestly. And I like, because I kind of fell into it quite young, it just became something that I was like, oh, I guess I'm doing this now. And it stopped me from having to get like an office job and having to do. I did actually work in an office. I also worked as a teacher for my first few years. But honestly, for me, it was when I started making money, like around 2018, 2019, I was working a teaching job, and I just looked at my income and I was like, most of my income is coming from publishing. My not teaching does not pay. So I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely making more money from this. So that's when I think I was like, okay, it's time to just go full time. Yeah.
What about you,
To be fair, I think the it hit me moment was that I got my first offer of representation from an agent. So I actually started writing officially on the journey to being an author when I was 16 as well. Yeah. Except for it took me like 8 years to get an agent. So
No, but that's the same as.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
That's the same as.
Yeah, so it was like years of writing different manuscripts and trying to find the one that kind of like fits and send off to agents, getting many rejections. But then when I got my offer from my agent, and I had a few offers from different agents, but my agent, it really clicked. And felt like we could really work together really well. And then we edited for like a month on Me and the Lightcasters, and I was very, very fortunate that I got an offer from a publisher within a week. And it was like a life-changing book deal. So I think for me, I cried, but it felt like that moment where your dreams finally come true after so much heartbreak. So yeah, for me, it was getting the first offer from my agent and my publisher, and then seeing it in the shops. Like, that was another gotcha moment. I was like, oh gosh, not my name on the book anymore, though. But yeah, that was it for me.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I've seen your books.
Oh, it's
Actually, you know what? I was in a shop near me, and it's like a cultural shop attached to a museum. And then I saw your book, and I was like, no.
I get so high still. It's a big Miyuki.
Yeah, Miyuki, you actually have just started a business as well. Like, tell us a bit about that and what made you realize that you needed to make it a business rather than just like doing it as a hobby with your friends? Because
So this was very much in very panda fashion, tripping and falling into it. So I do content creation and stuff online, and I stream and everything like that. And at Insomnia, I'm talking about the origin of like what actually happened, because I don't know. It's very much trip and fall. So I had Panda's Embarrassment, which is a game show which I hosted on the main stage of Insomnia. Rest in peace, Insomnia. And we were sitting there because we all really like card games, like me and four of my friends. Well, one of them's my partner. He'll kill me if I call him my friend. He's like, stop calling me your friend. I'm like, that's easier to say. But basically, we were like, oh, imagine doing business cards as trading cards, because you get a business card, half the time you lose it. So we were like, oh, we'll do like little trading cards. And then we were like, hey, let's make this into like a little playable game, so when people collect them and everything. And then we realized that would be very expensive to print, just different business cards. And then we kind of was like, while we were playing the game, we were like, this is actually really fun. You know what? Let's release it. And that's how that happened. So it was very much just trip and fall into it. So yeah, that was released last year. The first set is called, I can't remember.
It's always the way.
Yeah.
It's always the way.
Pandemonium Grove, that's the one. Pandemonium. Exactly. I am like a panda. I'm just like this. It's fine. And yeah, and it's doing better than we expected, and we do have more sets coming very soon. So yeah, hint, not Josh. And I also do like sim racing and stuff, which is like very different. I like doing a bit of everything. So yeah.
Yeah, you once licked an F1 car.
I've actually 3.
Oh my god. There's a tally.
The tally's up to 3. Yeah, so one was at Insomnia, the Alpine car. Then when I went to Mercedes F1 factory, I just said, I didn't actually lick it, okay? I got this close, but the internet just thinks I licked it. But that was in the Silver Arrows Lounge at Mercedes F1. And then again at Williams F1 factory too. So why they keep inviting me to these places, I don't know.
To lick the car.
They'll start like adding
Do not lick.
flavoured paint just so that you can...
I would love that. Gap in the market. Gap in the market.
Maybe we're starting more businesses now.
Yeah. Let me write that down.
Next thing you'll know, you'll be on the next panel and you'll be like, yeah, so I started a car paint company.
And they're flavoured. We're not going to encourage people to lick paint.
Oh, that new TikTok trend, right?
Oh no.
What have we done?
Disclaimer, this was not my idea. I will not be held responsible. Do not lick cars.
Janelle, you mentioned that you had a lot of rejections on your journey. And like the nature of the manga is against all odds, and there's a lot of rejections faced in that. Do you want to tell us a bit about what that is like going through that and what it's like to overcome those rejections as well?
Yeah, because if you guys read the manga, there's actually quite a few scenes in here in which Tazziii overcomes it, especially with the advice from Tazzii's mom in the book. in terms of not letting other people influence your feelings or projecting their own failures onto you. So like I said, it took me like 8 years to get an agent, but getting a rejection, especially on full manuscripts when it comes to agents. So first you send your first like 3 chapters to an agent. They like it, they'll be like, let's read the full manuscript. And then you feel like one step, like the next step is they offer you representation. So I've got to the stage where I've sent off my full manuscript to many agents and then I'll get rejections. But the main thing for me, my mum actually gave me the same advice, is that it's important to like let out those negative feelings, like don't bottle it up. That's what I used to do. I used to bottle up all my negative emotions and then just put on a smiley face, which you're also kind of seeing wrong. I was just throwing that out there. But it's all about like covering it up, and I've learned to now just cry it out. So that's my main advice. Everyone faces rejections. Like if they don't say they face rejections, they're a liar. In any industry, and for me, like learning to cry and just accept things for what it is, because some things are out of your control. And with like influencers and with like being an author, you can't really avoid it. It's very subjective, so it's not always about you or about your writing. It's about just bad timing and sometimes a bit of luck. So for me, what got me through the constant rejections in the beginning was just crying it out, just feeling those emotions, and then just moving on, carrying on writing. So I think for me, like at one point I got a rejection from a really big agency that I loved. I stopped writing for a whole year because I was that sad, but then I jumped back into it, and then I think that was the year before I got my agent, and now I'm with CAA, which is like a big Hollywood agency, so everything happens for a reason, you know. So that's but it's going to show, just accept your emotions, really. Just cry it out if you need to cry it out.
I love that. I've never heard anyone talk about like rejections in that way and actually like going through the motions. Like everyone's just like, pick yourself up.
Yeah,
try again. Like, but actually, like you feel.
You have to feel it.
And you can't avoid that. Like we're humans.
Yeah.
It's part of the journey, isn't it?
It's fun to look back at now, kind of like, okay, yeah, you was depressed, but now look at you. So it's okay. Just cry it out, girl. Just cry out.
Yeah, feeling. What about the other two of you? Like, how has rejection been for you, and how have you overcome those rejections?
Do you have one? You go first.
Oh. Okay. I think like how serious are we allowed to be in this panel?
You can be as serious as you want.
Yeah.
Would you not swear?
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I think like all of us on this panel were marginalized in many ways, and I think something that's very important for other marginalized creators to remember is that like people are not going to give us handouts in the way that they may for others. People don't always take a chance on us, and people don't always trust us to be able to do our jobs. It's really funny like sitting here hearing you talk about like, oh yeah, I started when I was 16 too, and I'm like, I know how we were literally all of us talking about how old we were when we started, or like how old we are now. And it's like, I think it's really telling that we're all very hardworking people. You may say that you just rolled into it, but to make the following you have, like, you know, you have to have been diligent. You have to actually like be putting the work in there and stuff. And I think like that really shows that all of us put a lot of work into getting where we are. And I think as well as crying it out, you have to also honor the work that you are doing and honor that like sometimes people aren't going to take a chance on us, and we have to find our own communities and find people who really do support us, and you know, find that support of like, you do have to get back up there.
Yeah.
And the way you do that is finding your friend who's like, you know, they're never going to be nice to us, so we have to be nice to ourselves, and we have to like be kind to ourselves for that rejection that we faced, and then you know, just and then keep going after we cried about it to our buddies. Yeah,
Definitely. Do you need a couple more minutes? Because I can tell the story if you want. Yeah. So in the book there was a line, and I think so. In the book it goes, "Do you even play guitar?" That is the line, right? Okay, cool. Because I totally reject.
No offense.
Oh, no offense, but do you even play guitar? Which was inspired by something that happened in my real life that I told Nigel. So I love games, and I really wanted a career in gaming, and I didn't know like what that looked like. Like in school, they didn't tell us like you could make games. So the only thing I knew was to go to a store that specialized in selling games, and I was like, that seems like a great place to start. And I went into store. This is when you actually gave in like paper CVs. And I was really proud. I thought I was really clever by wearing my Call of Duty Black Ops t-shirt, because big Call of Duty girl back then. And I handed in my CV, and it was actually a woman as well, which kind of made it sting even more, behind the counter. And she just looked me up and down and was like, "Do you even play games?" And I was like, "What? Yes." Play games. I live, breathe, like sleep games. Like my mum tells me to just stop talking about games. So yeah, and it was nice that Nigel put that in, because even though sort of like switched to guitar, it's kind of like that exact moment happened. So I think I started tearing up when I was like doing my first reaction read through that we did record for that. So yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah. Do you have a little story you want to share?
See, with like, it comes under rejection, but it's also like kind of like trying to fit in as well. Like through school, I never really like had a lot of friends, and I never really related to a lot of people, especially like females and stuff like that. Since then, I started streaming, and then I found a lot of like-minded friends like Tazziii, and it started like falling into place. And even though like I never felt like I belonged anywhere for a long time, that gaming and then making the card game and like sim racing and stuff, I found somewhere where I actually feel like, hey, I somewhat fit in here. And it's nice to find like just a space that I actually feel like home. And it's nice because never really had friends. Now I've got friends, I think.
Definitely have friends.
There's always that joke of just like, this is all of my friends. So yeah, this is, yeah. So like rejection doesn't always come in, well, it comes in many forms. So it's nice to find people and a support system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna start crying.
No.
It's fine.
It's okay, I've done a lot of that before. So.
We're supposed to. We're supposed to let our feelings out.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I think you sort of touched on something important that I want to bring up as well, which is finding your voice and finding that sort of like path to who you are, especially when you're around people that you might not necessarily relate to. So yeah, does anyone want to talk about like how they found their voice and what that journey looked like? Have you finished finding your voice? Do you feel like you've got your voice?
I have this is the thing, I only have really raw answers to these things.
I love it.
I'm very sorry.
No need to apologise.
For context, I've been doing like panels like this for a good 4 or 5 years now, and like I've only gotten more and more raw as these go on, so I'm very sorry. I got really radicalized, and I when I say radicalized, I mean like in the general sense of it, of like realizing I was in a very white space for like all of my art. I did a foundation, then a bachelor's, and then a master's in like basically in art, so like in just art and design, and then into illustration, and then I did a master's in that, and it was like straight through, and I was just in these like very white environments, and this was like fine. Generally, I'd come from a very like South Asian, like I'm South Asian. I came from a very like South Asian and Black area. So I kind of went from being surrounded by people like me to being like, oh, okay, well, I sort of know this is like what most of this country is like. Like, even though I was still studying in London, I was kind of like, oh, everyone's really rich here, and everyone's like very different to me culturally, but that's fine. Until I started working at like a Asian jewelry store in my very last year of education, and I was like, I've missed something. Like I felt like adrift, and I think that kind of made me realize like I wanted to tell stories about people like me. I wanted to sort of talk about my culture. I realized how even though like all my friends and colleagues and like mentors and classmates and stuff, like they're also well-intentioned, they didn't know lots of stuff about my culture. They didn't know lots of stuff about like people like me. They made us, even in the most well-intentioned way, they make assumptions about people who are like working class and people of color. Like I remember a tutor saying like, talking about like a student who, because I was teaching as well, like as it went on. One of my colleagues literally was like, oh, this student, he's like really struggling, all this kind of stuff. And I would keep saying, like, you have to remember, like, he might have not learned this stuff in his A levels. He might not have had access to this education. Like, he seems clueless, but it's because he doesn't know where to start. And because that's how I was when I was a student. I realized how much of a gap in knowledge I had when I went into my foundation year. And I remember my white colleague turned to me being like, but you turned out all right. And I was like, because I had to work harder than everyone else. Like, you know, I had to teach myself all this stuff. And I think that's kind of what radicalized me. Like, honestly, like, finding my own voice was realizing, like, there's not a lot of us out there. When I started doing, like, comics and stuff, there was a lot less South Asian people doing comics. And I just realized, like, I need to just talk about people like myself and people like the people I grew up with and my family. Yeah, I feel very strongly about it. But that's definitely it. It's like existing in the world in the body we exist in. That made me, like, forced me to kind of find my voice and be loud and annoying. Yeah.
Yeah, we're very glad that you found your voice.
Sorry. I move it on to you, Janelle.
Me now,
Yeah.
that's you, Auntie.
Passing the buck around.
But I know it's really different because I can't really answer how I found my voice in terms of writing. It was just one of those things where you just write mindlessly until it clicks, kind of thing. And where I love gaming so much, I kind of like found my voice through writing about like writing stories inspired by my love of gaming. So I don't know how to really word it. Like, I kind of wanted to capture the magic of gaming in book form, so I knew that would always be my niche, especially when I do like school events and whatnot. Oh, fun fact, I did go acting school very briefly in terms of learning how to embody your characters better so that I could then incorporate that into my writing, if that makes sense. But for me, it was just constantly writing different books until one clicked, and then, like I said, 9 years later, it kind of clicked. Yeah, it's, I don't know, it's hard because then with streaming, it's like I made sure I didn't want to deviate. Like, I didn't want to have a persona kind of thing. I just wanted it to be me. So, like, one, I'm too lazy to have a whole different personality on stream. Two, I just wanted to make sure I was authentic, but also stand out. So I'll just like, I don't know, I'll just kind of just be myself and bring in my love of writing into my streaming, like just have my little catchphrase, my little community and whatever else. I kind of just fell into it, if I'm honest. I don't really have a set route of how I found it. Literally. So yeah, there's not much of a story behind that, if I'm honest. Yeah, fell into it like a panda.
I mean, that is a valid story, so.
I have a bit of a specific question for you. Do you like write your books like based on like gaming and like is that what like what's your theme of it?
So most of the time I'll get like inspiration for ideas from the games I play, especially horror games. Like Me and the Lightcast was inspired by Tomb Raider, Final Fantasy, and Resident Evil. So it's like a mix of like the adventurer, the scary horror, and the fantasy land. So I often get my ideas from that. Like this new book I'm working on is inspired by the Fatal Frame games.
Oh yes.
Like people working for it. So yeah, so that's what kind of triggers my ideas.
So cool, yeah.
That's cool.
What about you guys in terms of finding your voice?
So for me, it was very much, I would not have been able to do something like this. And even now, my heart's still going really, really fast. I still get really, really nervous talking in front of people. But literally, I left college 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I bunked a lesson because I didn't want to do a presentation in front of my class. And because I was just so scared of like, oh, so-and-so is going to think of this of me. Especially how the business plan that I actually did was for an anime store. Oh. So I was very much just like, do I expose the fact I'm a huge nerd? Because I was always trying to fit in. Like I never really talked about gaming and stuff like that. And when I did talk about gaming, people just kept laughing at me. Like in high school and like through college, it got better because I did start to find my people. We called ourselves the Rejects. It was great. And I just kind of decided one day, like obviously working on it, I need to work on pushing myself out of the comfort zone by this much. And then when you've done it enough, your comfort zone increases. And then you do it again and again and again. And even now, like I said, still very nervous talking in front of a crowd. So this is very nerve-wracking for me. But I wouldn't have been able to do this before without doing that. So finding my voice was just being like, right, we're going to work on ourselves and we're going to push ourselves out of that comfort zone. And eventually you get to the point where you can host a game show on a stage and not talk in front of a room in front of like a smaller amount of people.
No, I get that. Stages are so much easier.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you can't see them. You can't see the faces.
Yeah. And it's like there's so many people that you can't like. They're kind of just like blurred. But when it's smaller, you're like, oh wait, I can see like all of your individual faces. Yeah, I guess I kind of pandered into finding my voice.
I love this so much.
I was a really shy kid. Like when I say I was really shy, like you would not. You're probably like, you shy. No, I was like that was me. And I never really knew how to fit in. I was the same. Like I had like, I knew a lot of people, but I didn't like have friends. I actually used to get bullied for like being alone a lot because this is like, at least in my school, like the girls would all like go to the bathroom together. Like you wouldn't walk around the school, like you'd go to the canteen together. But I didn't. I was like, if I needed to go to the toilet or to the canteen, I'd just go. And so people would see me just like walking about by myself and they'd be like, oh, Lola, oh, no. It was less I was alone, I was just like really independent already.
Yeah, our school was weird like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna completely confess that I was one of those girls who would like sequester, but like me and my two friends, we used to like hold a bathroom hostage from other people, so we were evil. Yeah, we were the problem.
But that's fine, like either way is fine, right? Well, maybe not how you got that, because you are evil.
Look at facts.
But there's nothing wrong with like relying on your friends, maybe not quite being evil. But like, so I already had that like that independence. I didn't know how to like fit in, but I didn't like. I spoke to everyone, but I just didn't like click with a group of people at all. Like, I had like one or two friends in there, and then I was also really shy, but like super passionate about things. So I was like basically really quiet unless you like got me in an argument about something.
Relate, like literally. Yeah, exactly the same.
And then it wasn't until, so I left sixth form and went straight into work. And I worked in a pub in a very well-known chain, but one of the ones that's like in not so great area. It's basically a Millwall pub. And if you know what Millwall is like, there are a lot to handle. And my manager, when I got hired, one of my managers did not think I was going to make it. Like, he thought I was going to, like, not make the 2-week, like, trial period. I very quickly found my voice serving lots of loud, obnoxious drunks. I learned how to, like, speak up and, like, be... what's the word? Not demanding, but like stand your ground kind of thing. Assertive, yeah. Because I had to like talk to these men that were like a lot bigger than me. Like one guy was like 6'2" and built and like just aggressive like constantly. And I sort of like got my like teacher voice, I guess. working in a pub, but then I worked in a lot of hospitality, and so there's a lot of like needing to talk to people.
I'm loving this story, by the way, because it's me but reversed. I did betting shop. That's what I managed to get my voice so quickly. Before I was like, yeah, same thing. So wow.
And then I just had a lot of situations where I kind of learned. I did the opposite of like little bits out of your comfort zone. I was like straight in the deep end. Like everything that I'd done, I worked at a summer camp for a bit in the States, and
oh wow,
yeah, I was the director of communications there, which was like, most people go to summer camp and you're like a camp counselor, so you just look after like the lovely young children that have rich parents. And but I was like more of a senior role, which meant I was communicating with the parents a lot. Who, by the way, if you think like gamers are demanding, you've not experienced a very, very wealthy parent.
Oh no.
That is another level of demand. And so I was dealing with like little children and young parents, but in my first week, I just got to the camp, and in my first week, I led because schools were still on while I was training, so I led a school trip around the camp to talk about this camp that I'd been at for a few days in a country that I'd been in for a few days, and I had to do a tour. They just threw me in the deep end, and actually, like, one of the parents was like, "That was amazing!" Da da da. And then the other thing in that same week, I had to do the photos for the YMCA, like, countrywide event with all like the senior people from the YMCA, like all very important people. And I had to also talk about this camp that I'd been in for less than a week. And it was like, the camp director was like, this is really important because like these are all senior like VPs of the company and like senior alumni. And I was like, okay. So I just had a lot of experiences that were like that. I mean, there's so many. One was like security Olympics and wow. So I sort of like learned by trial of fire, I guess. Right, we want to have time for you to ask any questions for any of us here. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free. This is your chance. Yes.
I have a question. It's about, I guess, publishing a story or publishing anything and putting what we create out there. My name's Elora, and what I do is, by day I work as a video game artist, but by night I work in my own business, which is creating art that represents Black girls, but in a soft way. I'm phrasing it so terribly because I can't find a way to put it in words.
You're doing perfect.
Yeah.
You're doing perfect.
You know, it's one of those things where it started as just my own thing that I've slowly been growing. But what advice could you give to someone who wants to put more of what they create into the world, into the physical, in terms of publishing? Because, you know, I sit there in my room like, okay, I'm drawing all of this and I'm making things, but I can go further. But how?
You're putting more.
I will answer this question.
Yeah.
I think there's a few different questions you need to ask yourself, and it's like, one, you have to think like, what scale do you actually want to work? And then also think, what audience do you want to reach with it? You can immediately right now, obviously, like put stuff out on the internet, like start doing on more of a social media content creation like level, be like on TikTok or Instagram, all that kind of stuff. That's one level. You can do that immediately.
Yeah.
If you want to think more about like you're talking about like publishing.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit difficult when you think about publishing because illustration by itself, if you're looking to be like, I really want to find like people who would, because you can do it as like, I am making a product or like I'm making like a book or something like that, or you could do it as someone else is asking me to do this.
Yeah.
If you're like, someone else is asking me to do this, the best thing to do is continue developing your portfolio and then maybe working with like an agency and looking for clients who specifically would want, you know, images of Black women in this way. So that could be like a beauty brand, that could be like maybe a women's magazine. You know, all these different people who would need that kind of illustration, look into researching and contacting them. That's if you want someone else to be paying you and then that kind of thing. Otherwise, you could also be thinking about like, is there a market for, if you want to do something, are you more interested in narrative-based things or more just like the illustration part of it?
More the illustration.
Okay, so maybe
I felt like someone said that I would do well making children books,
Okay.
which I want to do because growing up,
Yeah.
what did we have as Black
Yeah.
girls to, you know?
I feel like there's like the same 5 books that we all know.
I'm surprised.
That's it.
No, I can actually chime in on that actually if you wanted to, because I do children's book and I got to pick my illustrator. Thankfully, it's a rarity, but I found my illustrator who actually lives in the US through TikTok X right now.
Yeah.
So if you do post your stuff on social media, an author like me could actually see you and recommend you to my publisher. So that's also a route, but if you want to reach out to agencies, I don't know about reach out to publishers directly. I don't know.
I would really not recommend reaching out to publishers directly because they are often, I was speaking in this panel already about the barriers that we have in front of us. I think like, often I found it really difficult to actually, talk to publishers, especially when I didn't have anything like known to my name.
Yeah.
So like I would recommend looking for an agent or like an
Yeah.
illustration agent for yourself.
All right.
Are you giving
No, just-
advice?
So like potentially.
Ooh.
We love this.
Story
cross-networking.
mix.
No.
So
Oh,
story,
yes.
story mix are a book packager. And so the lady Jasmine Richmond, who created
Yeah, I love
the
her.
company,
She's
started writing Beast Quest, Adam Blake. And they focus specifically on creating stories for children from Black and marginalised
Yeah.
voices that are not getting it. And
Story mix.
Yeah, story mix. Jasmine Richards.
yeah.
I'm also just a mental star. I'm actually on a committee with
Hey,
Yeah.
I love this. This is cool.
I'll get sandwiches. I've got advice.
keep on boys.
Yeah, I love
Can I
it.
shout out your socials?
Of course, you can shout out.
So you can follow Laura at Tupu Art.
T-U-P-U.
Yeah.
Like two poo, like two.
And I can attest that she is absolutely amazing. She's done the design for me, and it's like just the cutest thing. And please do follow. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yes,
Couple
please.
of questions. One long one, one quite a simple one. So the first one, the long one. As a fellow creative myself, I understand the hurdles that, especially as a person of colour, the trials that we face trying to find our standing in the creative industry. My question to you is, what was the driving force that kept you to keep pushing on? Because I'm sure there were moments where you thought it was wanting to give up. What was it that kept you going? And also, this question's from Miyuki. Why licking cars?
I think we should do the licking cars first.
Yeah. all right. I'm a weird person, okay? So basically, it was a joke. I didn't actually lick any cars.
No, you can't take it back now. You said
This is
you
why-
did.
This is why I just roll with it because, like,
Don't look at me. I wasn't the one that started. I wasn't the one that started this.
so basically,
You were the one that said it.
well, the only reason I said it is because I made a joke. I did like a little photo shoot with the Alpine F1 show car at Insomnia, and they said you can't touch any part of the car except the tires. So I made a joke. So I hugged it, got my foundation all over it. So if you were there the second day and you saw a little foundation mark, that was me. And I made a joke, and I was actually just like. And then I was that close, okay? I didn't actually lick it, but then everyone was like, we're going to tell the entire internet that, like, you didn't lick it. So it's just become a meme.
Yeah.
It's like the whole Sophie crying in Five Guys thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's the same sort of concept, except she did cry in Five Guys. If you know, you know. And yeah, so it's just now a thing. Whenever I see an F1 car, I have to I carry on the meme, you know?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
For the content.
Yeah, it's for the content. Do it for the content.
Right.
What can I say? Yeah.
There was a driving force. What's the driving force?
Oh, could
Yes, the driver.
Could you repeat your first half of the question? Because I'm very
So
I forget
it's
things
just
really.
more like what kept you going through the adversity.
Yeah.
What kept you going through these tough times.
I don't mind taking this one first, just because I will say it's an ongoing thing. Like, it's not a overcome that hurdle once. Like, I feel like I have a breakdown like multiple times a month. Like, there's times where things are a lot harder, because you're always gonna face like tough times. Like, I mean, we all went through a global pandemic, so there's things like that like can't be helped, and they'll add struggle. And so me, like, some days I like sometimes like it can be a week where I'm like literally stuck in my bed, and I'm like I can't do anything anymore. Like, what is life, literally? And I think it goes back to Janelle's point of like feeling your feelings, and sometimes you just have to like let yourself kind of sink so that you can rise again.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because that's often like a sign that like you might be burnt out, or just that there's things going on and you have to just like address those things. So it is like allowing yourself to be a bit stuck. And then I guess I normally tend to get to a point where I'm like, It's just as much effort as as doing the thing. So like sometimes I literally like I'm crying my way through like editing or something, because I'm like, I can either cry and not do anything or cry and do something, and like one of them has a chance of having an outcome. And my mum used to always say, like, it doesn't matter what you're doing, just do something. So even if it's not doing the creative things I do, I'll just do something, do anything else, just to be doing something and get yourself like out of it. And so that could be like just trying something completely new, and it can help bring you back to the thing you're passionate about.
Thank you guys so much, honestly. Like I think like maybe we all feel very similarly in this way, because I feel that way too. I think it's like it's always a struggle, and it's always like difficult, and there's always many things you do. Just have to like sit there, honor your feelings, and continue. I feel like for myself, I have a lot of pride, so I'm just like it's like that often is what gets me out of it. At the end of it, is like sitting there and being like, everything can suck, everything can be against me, everything can be difficult, but like I enjoy the thing I do.
Yeah.
And I also have something that I really like, it, you know, like the love of the craft or the love of like the community I'm in, like that is what pulls me out of it.
It's like a falling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also spite.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Like,
So
whenever you're feeling like, oh, the world is against me, be like, yes, and watch me. Like,
Yeah.
like I watch a lot of anime, and like a lot of like leading anime characters are like have the world against them. Like, I have a giant Naruto poster, like up, and it's literally like I put it. All my other posters was where people can see them. My Naruto poster is behind my screen, so I just look, and it's a really like fierce look, and I'm like, oh yeah, like literally the whole village hated him, and he's still done it. So spite. If nothing else, just do out of spite.
Not heavy on manifestation as well. So I feel like it's like writing's my calling. So even though, like we said, we'll face adversity, we'll cry it out, we'll then rise again. So yeah, I very much believe in manifestation, which was interesting because in the book, Tazziii uses tarot cards in the beginning. So I was like, oh, yeah. But yeah, I very much believe in the manifestation, and if you want it, you can will it. You just have to keep going, because you only fail when you stop trying, to be fair. So
yeah. And also, like, to be completely honest, like I get jealous. Like I get jealous of other people. You know, like you see other people like do really well, and you're like, I want a little slice of that. And like I always say to myself, like, you can't be jealous if you don't do the thing.
Yeah.
If you don't sit there and make something, and you don't make something that you're proud of, stop whining. Like, you can't whine about it. Like, go and make the thing that you want, like, to see, or like whatever. So like that too, like spite, jealousy, pride.
Yeah. If people tell you shouldn't be, they're lying.
yeah, don't project your negativity on me.
Honestly, spite really helps me with like sim racing and stuff as well. Because like, especially being a female sim racer, it's very difficult, especially when they come in and like, women drivers, and I'm like, race me then.
Oh yeah.
Especially when I win, it makes me happy. Well, not necessarily win, but beat them.
Yeah.
So it just makes me happy. I'm just like, drops mic, thank you very much. Then my mods just go bye, and I'm like,
That's literally what got me into Call of Duty.
that's what video games are for.
Yeah.
She still hasn't beaten me yet. We'll get there and win the next game.
The gauntlet has been thrown.
Challenge accepted. I'm gonna go home and get on my rig.
The win is pending.
Demod. No, I'm joking.
You're stuck with me at this point.
That is very true.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Are there any more questions? Oh.
There's a couple questions,
Yeah, so I had a question. When it comes to like writing, coming up with stories, whether it's the overall theme or the specific details, do you ever find like a conflict between telling the story you want to tell and then telling the story you think people want to hear?
Ooh, that's interesting. I can take this one. So for me, I don't write for other people. I only write for myself, and then hope it sticks. And that's why it's also good if you do want to be an author, to get an agent who will back you and who understands your vision. So I've heard from horror stories. I don't write for other people. I understand in terms of like language used. I sometimes have to give in to my publisher a little bit. Like, for example, one of my characters said, "Oh, that's peak," and my editor was like, "Peak." I was like, "No, it's staying," but I understand. Like, so some words I will slightly change. But then most of the time I stick to the voice that I've chosen because that's the story I want to put out. And then, because readers will love your voice, like that's what makes you you, and they relate to you more if you use slang or if you use like things that are from your culture. So yeah, I would say never write for other people, write for yourself, but your agent is there to guide you on the slight like path if needed. But yeah, I would say write for you. Don't write for anyone.
I do agree with you 100%. I will say, because there's a part of me that's like, yeah, you should use Pete, but there's also a part of me that's like, gatekeep that. But like, but I need to ungatekeep. I think also like there's a difference between writing with your audience in mind and writing for your audience. Like you have to kind of always, because like writing and art, like they're communication tools. Like you need to be able to talk to the people who you're reading or like giving your book or whatever to. But so it needs to be readable, it needs to be accessible, but you shouldn't talk down to them, and you also shouldn't just be pandering to them either, because you have your own voice, you have your own thoughts, and that's always going to be the most interesting thing, is like what's inside yourself, because everyone has a unique perspective, so you shouldn't be trying to sort of like bend yourself and your perspective to sort of match an audience or what you think the audience wants to hear, because they might get that from somewhere else. You should just put out what you have, and then they will take away from that what they take away from that as well.
And we're dressing up a little bit. Like obviously market does dictate as well whether your idea does get taken up.
Yeah.
Like when the year before I was even published, there was a whole like thing about, The Hate You Give, that book, if everyone knows that book. There was a big call out for like books that circle around racism or whatever else, but like I wanted to write about like magical black girls, so I stuck to that. But then it did get picked up, thankfully. But now, for example, the children's publishing is a bit rocky at the moment. But where that's what I wanted to write, I just took the risk, and whether it sticks, we'll find out. It's not looking good right now. But I just have to write for me, because that's the book I want to read, and that's the book that I want my audience to read as well. So yeah, write for yourself.
Pretty good.
So
one thing. Somebody
so I've just tried to start streaming, and this is kind of just to all of you. So how did you find what you wanted to do? Because I've just gone back to my old job that I used to have while I went to uni, figured out it wasn't university life, wasn't me, dropped out, been without a job for 6 months, then gone back to my old job. How did you find what you wanted to do? Because I'm struggling with that currently, with what I want to do with my life. So yeah,
I still don't know what I want to do with my life.
Okay.
I just do the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
And like don't put so much pressure. I feel like we're like, when we're in school, we're like 14 years old and we're being asked like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? And no one knows the answers to that question. There isn't a right answer. And that will also change like as we grow. Like my mum became a YouTuber at 50.
Oh,
like
so good.
So like there's no like right path, there's no right way to do things. You've just got to like do the things that you enjoy and test things out, like try out one style of streaming or a game, or like I could not stick to a game, so I'm like variety all the way. And then you when you're doing something you like, that you're doing what you like, and go with that. Like don't let other people tell you how it should be done. Like everyone's got an opinion on how things should be done, but the only right way is the way that you are doing it and that you consistently show up.
Or the opposite, what you don't like or don't want to do.
Yeah.
So if you do something and you're like, no.
Then you know not to do that. So it can be like trial and error, and it's just like learning about yourself and understanding yourself. There's one thing that I feel like, just in general, whether it's like creative pursuits, careers, that people like don't do a lot of, is just figuring out who you are without all of the expectations. And if you work on yourself, like a lot of things, it's a lot easier to fall into things when you're figuring out yourself, rather than figuring out like perception of yourself from the rest of the world? Sorry if that was like super deep and mystical.
No.
I don't know if anyone else has got like.
Oh, me, I don't know if you want to.
Well, I started streaming in lockdown. It was very much I'm playing games anyway, might as well stream it. And I just played pretty much anything and everything that came out. There was a point where I was just like, oh, must play this new game, must play that new game, and I just really didn't enjoy it. Then I fell into Sea of Thieves, and I really, really like Sea of Thieves. I did like different themed makeups based on the different curses in Sea of Thieves and stuff like that. I do want to get back into makeup because I do. Yeah, I do miss it a lot, but it's a lot of effort, and my skin hates it. And lost train of thought. Give me 2 seconds. This is the panda moment. Sea of Thieves. Okay, thank you. And then I got burnt out of that, and then I felt really, really lost. And I was like, hey, this is going to be so random. Let's go be a dentist. I'm a dental nurse. This makes sense. And got rejected a few times on that, and then decided, don't really like the dental industry, to be honest. We all know how the dental industry is at the moment. Hate it. And then I started getting back into Formula One a little bit more, started following the races, found something I liked. It stuck. I still love it. There's so many different aspects to it. And yeah, it's just you kind of got to try different things. And you can literally DM me at any point and ask for advice. Like, why do you wait till a panel where I have to speak in front of people? I love it.
That way. It's absolutely
I think we should get Luke to do a little piece like later.
No, I'm not on camera shy. No, sorry.
Then did you have a question as well?
I wanted to ask you guys a little bit about your past because I'm not sure if you've touched on this yet. But what was like your first moment or like memory that you feel set you on the path that you're on today? And then the second question was, what is one thing that you tell younger you or the next generation in order to help them pursue their dreams?
Wait, what was the first half of the question?
What was like your first moment that you feel kind of set you on the path that you're on now? Like,
oh, I don't know if there's a first moment. I feel like there's lots of little moments. But I will say there is one moment that my mum loves to tell me this story. So when I was like a little baby, I could just crawl. And I was surrounded by like all like the classic colourful kid toys. And then my dad's Game Boy was like the old grey brick one was on the floor, like across the other side of the room, and my little self army crawled all the way over to start. I think I was playing like Tetris or something. Obviously, I didn't know what to do, but I was pressing the buttons. And my mum was like, from that day, I knew. Like, I had to keep you involved in like gaming and tech. So like I got like games consoles like quite young from there, and like taught how to use a computer and taken the computer classes. So yeah, I guess I was too young to notice that moment, but it was definitely like a thing. But then other than that, I feel like there's just like constant like pivotal like things like coming across Nigel and mayamada, like that definitely like helped me on the way. So
How listens?
and then he dragged me into being creative.
Now you're on a book.
Now I'm on a book, which I actually manifested, by the way.
Hey, manifestation, come on.
I wrote it down, and this was before I knew Nigel. Something I wanted, so.
Yeah, I think it was the same for me, like in terms of like it's just little things that kind of put me on the path. But like my mum would also say, oh no, what took you on the path? But I always knew you'd be an author or something. She used to always read me like these 2 picture books as a kid. One was an American one called Thanksgiving Biscuit, and the other one is Peace at Last, about the 2 bears that are like sleeping with her. I don't know if anyone knows that book. But I feel like my mum used to always read me books as a kid, so that's kind of where my love for books fell into. And then yeah, I was a gamer from like a top. Like when I was tiny, I had like the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, and my mum was like, yeah, you just loved games, so yeah. But that's why it's also good to have a good relationship. But if it's not your mum or your dad, or it could be an aunt, uncle, or friends, having someone who will like uplift you in your dreams, you know? Because my mum always encouraged me to do anything I wanted to do. So I think, yeah, my mum was the driving force actually, I guess, in terms of my path.
Yeah. That's something I really liked about this book actually, was like her mum's the biggest support, and that was definitely true for me too. Like,
yeah,
it's cute, like,
I was recorded right because my mum will want to hear that.
No, yeah.
that was true. Like, yeah, my mum was really good. Like, my mom always like supported me doing art and stuff like that. But actually, I think honestly, she's not my best friend anymore, but my best friend from being a kid. I wasn't gonna take GCSE art, and she's like, "Shut up! You're like, shut up. You should take it. Like, you love drawing. Like, come on, be serious." I was like, "Okay, this is my career now." Thanks, best friend from like 10, 15 years ago. Like, thanks for that. Like, now I have a career. Like, but yeah, I think that's if I answer any more of your question, it's like too sincere. I'll get teary, so I can't answer it.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
One more question if you miss one. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to phrase that one exactly, but I don't know. I feel like to me when I see like people writing or like someone being in a story, it feels like a very like vulnerable thing. So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to know like how you deal with that, if that makes sense.
Do you want me to answer or do you?
I was
Okay. For me, yeah, like each book I write is like a piece of myself. So especially as an author, stay away from Goodreads, and guys just said, because there'll be some stuff where you'll see someone say something negative and it's like, that's my heart. Like, don't just do that. But I've kind of learned to detach. Like, once it's your book or your heart is out there, try and just trust that what you wrote is just true to you. And then no matter what there's always like one bad and what's the good. But if you focus so much on the good, then it kind of helps you detach. Think, okay, like sometimes I read my book for the first time the other day, the first book in like years, and I was like, oh, I can actually write, you know. But like, because when you edit for like a year, and then by the time you get to the publishing stage, you're like, okay, I've had enough. I still haven't read my third book that came out last year. I haven't looked over it, but yeah, it's a piece of your heart with each book you publish or you write, and that's why I wanted to take acting class to try and embody my character more. But it can be a double-edged sword because, you know, like there's parts in your book that not everyone else will know is such a deep part, but it's just part of artwork, right? It's just having your soul out there and hope that some people can resonate. And thankfully loads of kids seem to like my books, and they're like hearing their feedback and going to like school events. It like makes it all worth it, to be fair.
Before you continue, can I just ask something off the back of their question? So about the feedback, do you get someone else to read reviews and stuff about it? So how do you know about the good stuff then?
They'll often tag me. Thank goodness I've not had anyone tag me like bad stuff. Okay. So they'll tag me on social media, or if my mum sees something, she might tell me, or one of my friends. But but in the beginning, my publisher used to send me all the good feedback.
That's so nice.
Yeah, no, yeah. But that was only during the first week of being published. But other than that, I just don't seek it out.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you rephrase your question just because I do forget stuff really quick?
Yeah. Okay. So like, how do you deal with like the vulnerability of like writing and like putting it out there?
Yeah, I think like actually the vulnerability of like making stories about myself is part of my enjoyment of it. Honestly, like I actually I write a lot of autobiographical stuff too, and it's fun. I like to like. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine recently who was like, oh my god, it's so hard doing autobiography. I was like, no, it's fine. And she's like, no, but your family gets mad at you. I'm like, that's true. My mom stopped talking to me for like 3 months. But like, that's totally fine. I think it is, it can be a joyful thing to be honest about yourself. And I love to yap, as you've seen on this panel. So like, I think just like, shit. Sorry. But yeah, like, I think it can be joyful to be honest and like to be vulnerable. And I think that will always, even if you try to hide parts of yourself, like maybe the reason I'm at this stage is because every book I made up until even the ones that I'm working on now, I feel like I tried to protect myself and hide a part of myself, and it still comes through. So you kind of have to just give up. You have to just kind of let yourself be in the book, and not try to obfuscate things. Like, because even if you are writing a narrative piece, you know, your like history, your identity kind of comes out through that anyway. So you just have to kind of embrace it. Like, it is what it is. It's on the table now.
That is a really good question. I think vulnerability is part of the human experience. I don't think for me, like, obviously I had a conversation with Nigel and went through a lot of like my own personal stories here, but also like as a content creator, I'm like quite open as a content creator. Like, I feel like the harder thing is setting the boundaries. But Yeah, I think it helps. I think because of what I want to put out in the world is because I want to create connection. And authentic connection comes from vulnerability. There's a really good book by Brené Brown called Daring Greatly. If you want to learn about vulnerability, that is definitely a book to read. But it can be quite challenging, and it's something you kind of have to choose every day. Is new vulnerabilities, like you might go through new stuff, and like I don't like to pretend that like everything's all dandy all the time. Like I'm quite a positive person, but I like people to know that like I'm still human, and so like I said earlier, I cry and I spend like a week in bed or whatever. And I think the driving force behind that is that I wish I had someone to relate to. I'm gonna cry. I wish I had someone to talk to and relate to, especially when I was younger. And I put that stuff out there because I want other people to feel seen and not alone. And so if I can be vulnerable, then they can find comfort in that and find it in themselves as well. Yeah, totally.
That's really lovely.
That was a cute way to round off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi there, I'm Nigel from mayamada. Thanks for watching our video. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the other great videos we have on the channel. You can also check out our universe of manga and characters at mayamada.com. We'll see you soon.